Leah.
Oh my gosh.
I I'm like still processing through my energy, my auras, my bodies, like the meme you sent me yesterday. It's like,
Oh,
what? What is happening here?
I know.
Oh my lord.
I know. That was something. I knew you were going to say that though. But when I saw it, I was thinking like, well, like when I first saw it, I was like, well, both of us need to have a jar. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Like, if he has a jar, then I have a jar. So we both are gonna feel very incentivized to,
Oh my God. And like that's what like it was a really beautiful like alchemical mirror moment, like showing me how much resentment and contempt and disrespect is still like lodged in my systems and needs to be worked through and released. Because I like read it and like it had so much like contempt and like resentment energy for me. And I was like, this is from Leah. That cannot possibly be like what she wanted to bring into my field today. Like, okay, let me like process this and see what other like layers and dimensions can be experienced from this. And then yeah, that's what's like, well, this could be like a sexy game, like for a couple with a foundation of deep, deep safety and trust. And it's like honestly at that point where it's like, bitch, I am bored. Let's bring some money into this. Like, I need to spice this up.
Yeah, I mean, I would never actually do something like that. I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny, you
Oh
know.
my God. And that's what like I figured like this is from Leah. This like has to be because and yeah, for me, oh my God, I had so the opposite emotional reaction to it. Like to me, it was like this is how a man would speak to a woman that he fucking kidnapped and now he keeps her locked in his fucking basement. Like oh, it
Right,
brought
right,
out a
right.
totally different vibe for me. And it's like, oh, that's so sad. Like is that the kind of masculine energy that I've been around? Like, that's tragic. That is tragic.
Mm.
Ooh, like, yeah, it's like, oh my God, where did, like, I don't know if it was, and this is where, the whole like dimensions and evolution of consciousness and releasing karmic patterns. It's like, okay, something has happened to me, whether like ancestrally or in this
Mm.
lifetime or like internalized from the general patriarchy, dying paradigm vibes. But it's like, oh, like there's so much. Yeah, that's to me, it was such a moment of seeing what like disrespect. I have heard people talk about like me as a woman, like my mouth, but then also like their dick. It's like, do you really feel so bad about your dick that you can't believe a woman will joyfully, lovingly, freely take it into her mouth when she's in love with you? Like
Right,
that
right,
happens. It does happen, man. Like your penis is like desirable to the woman who wants you, okay?
right. You don't have to bribe her
Yeah. And
with
it
the
also
birthday.
broke my heart. Like you don't love your partner enough that you're not just excited trying to brainstorm like what how do you want to make her feel special. It's like
Mm,
it's like if that's not how you feel about me, I'm good.
mm. Yeah, there's so many layers to like relationships and especially in the realm of sex, like
Hmm.
that, there's just so much there. And like you said, like
Mm.
for everybody, it's going to be colored by your past experiences or even like
Yeah.
stuff you brought in from the previous life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Oh.
so you just never know like how someone is going to perceive something. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
assume. You just can't assume.
You can't assume. Oh, you really, yeah. And that's also where I'm really enjoying, I guess, confronting the ways I try to control my life through the words I choose. Like as long as I choose the like exact perfect words, then I will make myself understood and not possibly misunderstood. And
Mm,
like we literally just experienced, it's like it doesn't matter what words you choose because a person's own environment is what is going to really determine how they perceive what you're putting out there.
that is so true. That is so true. That is so true. It doesn't matter what words, what your tone is, your energy, what your intention is, it still might be perceived a totally different way,
Yeah, yeah.
which is where the conversation that you have during or after is so important to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that what you wanted to communicate, it was received that way. And if not,
Mm-hmm.
then why? And
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, have that conversation.
Yeah, like really having that genuine curiosity and care for what they're feeling. Because, yeah, the actual feeling could have nothing to do with you. However, if this is a person you care about, you have this opportunity to hold space for what is coming up in their body. And that's kind of literally all that has to happen for, yeah, if it's from a past life, if it's from a karmic pattern, if it's from an ancestral trauma, that's all they need to just let it go. Like the safety and space in which to be honest about what is this feeling like for me. Because that's, mm.
Which is what you just did. So thank you for. But it's so funny because after I sent it, because it's like I got it, I burst out laughing. Like I thought it was funny. And then I thought to myself, well, if he has a jar, I have a jar too, you know? And I sent it to you because you're like that person now. I'm like, everything I think is funny or, whatever, I send it to you.
Oh, fuck yes.
And
I
then
really
after,
appreciate
I was
that.
like, but then after the fact, I was like, oh, Rose is probably not going to like this. I'm going to say something like what you said. But
Oh, oh
But
my God.
I'm sometimes I'm just impulsive. I'm like, oh, let me send this to Rose. I didn't even think about, oh, she's not gonna like this. That was like the afterthought. But I was like, oh, I sent it already.
But then see, that's exactly okay. So this is what happens when you have like relationships in your life that are serving as an alchemical mirror to like, yeah, give you an opportunity to let something surface so that you can let it go. So it doesn't have to stay
Mm,
wherever the fuck it's buried. And yeah,
wow.
I was really and yeah, so that was another like it's like okay, I applied something I learned from all of my friendship breakups. Like I have the established history with Leah. Like Leah is tight. Leah is connected. Leah knows me. Leah and I can go so deep. It's such a nourishing, satisfying relationship. And so there's no way Leah sent this to me with the fucking energy that initially like I reacted with. So like holding that space and like just giving time rather than going through this whole Leah, this is such a fucked up you know.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to like process that in that way.
Yeah, me too. Oh, that is, oh my, and now it's funny. Now it's just funny. Because also, it's giving me material. Like, I'm working on this character concept for some like method acting, somatic healing kind of stuff I'm playing with. And
Mm-hmm.
so the character is Lilith, mommy of demons. So it's
Hmm.
like, okay, so literally, as we have learned from the repeated patterns of history and the latest revelations of scientific research, hurt people hurt people. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, when you hear about someone who has committed these atrocities, it's like someone taught them that. Someone did that to them and taught them this is how the world fucking works.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just embedded as this pattern, both of like if you want to protect yourself, this is what the rules of engagement are. You need to be a fucking monster. Um, and like people act out in these ways just when their needs are not met. So it's like they're just acting
Mm-hmm.
out these really like dysfunctional codes, just trying to get their needs met. So like
Mm.
instead of punishing people. It's just like, okay, how do I water this person? Like, how do I fulfill, or like, how can this person's needs be fulfilled? Like, not me personally, like extracting from my body and myself, but just, having that mindset of like, whenever we hear of an atrocity, it's like, God damn, okay, this place needs water, this person needs water, like there's a nourishment, there's a
Mm,
deep need here,
yeah, like they're starving.
Yes, exactly.
And some
Um,
people don't realize that it is possible for to be in a relationship and we both get our needs met. It's almost like they think
mhm,
that in order for my needs to be met, you have to give up something. Like they don't
mhm.
realize that we both can get our needs met. Like it doesn't it's not like there's only like so many pieces of the pie and
Yes.
the more you get, that means I get less. Like I feel like some people have that mindset, and so they just the way they move and the way they relate to other people, they just want to take. Like they don't understand the give and take.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that like scarcity belief, that like
yeah,
scarcity
exactly.
conditioning. There's not
Yeah.
enough. Or like that there's this fixed limited amount. And that's what maybe like capitalism is the subconscious, like not very effective program for trying to like deal with that worldview that there's a finite fixed amount, and then capitalism has all of these like theatrical spectacular messaging around being like limitless, and the American mentality around like achieving and bleh, but like at a rate that is completely unsustainable and non-cyclical. It's like, yeah, it is true, like limitless. However, like there's a order to it, there's a pace to it, and it's something that you can only surrender to if you're going to partner with it.
That's true. Yeah. That surrender piece.
Ooh.
That's the piece. We have so much there's so much resistance to surrendering.
And like then again, we get dumped back into the place in the cycle where it's like there's a need. Like, so for with surrender, there's a need for safety. And like, yeah, surrender is not possible if you don't feel safe. So if you feel like you have this lack of safety, and then you act out in all these wild ways trying to feel safe. And then that's why it's like you're literally, it's impossible for you to surrender. Like you can't do both. Like that is a place where it's like you can't do both. You can't like be running this program of like fighting for your safety and then also like surrender. Like that's where it's like no, they
Yeah.
that they're mutually exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's why it all starts with the root chakra, right? Getting that root
Mm-hmm.
chakra balanced and
Mm-hmm.
expansive.
That's
Because
like
yeah,
another. Oh, sorry. Yes,
oh no,
please go on.
I was just gonna say, yeah, when you feel safe and grounded, then it's like the world is your oyster, you know.
And yours, precious pearl.
Oh my God, that word precious is like, I love it. Like all of a sudden, I keep saying it now. I don't know where it
Yes.
came from, but it's just in my consciousness, that word precious. It just keeps
Yeah.
showing up now.
Yes, I feel it because that's an experience that too few of us have experienced in their bodies, like a sense of like, "Ah, I am precious, like just
Mm.
as a way they feel about themselves or as a way that they've been treated by another person.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't think that's like the norm for people to feel that in their body.
Yeah, the norm is like, oh, suck my dick for $5.
Right. Exactly. To get a good birthday gift.
Ugh. Also, it's like, how rude. My blowjobs are worth so much more than just five fucking dollars.
Priceless, priceless.
Right. You cannot assign a value to this.
No, not at all.
And that's where it's like, oh, never mind. I don't want to get distracted by that tangent. But like back to safety, um, that's another area where it's been coming back online. I've been invited into really feeling the sensation that's actually possible, like at my perineum. And also, it's funny, like in my voice lessons lately, we've been doing a lot of ooh and like really puckering my lips. And so it's funny, like with the vocal tract, it's like, oh, so at the two most extreme ends at the same time, I'm like coming back into sensation. And then, yeah, that's been another like really heartbreaking, devastating place of purging. Like, oh my God, the atrocities that have happened at these places that I became like this vessel got the code to disembody, to numb from those areas. And it's only me now, like ending the generational patterns where like sensation is like I'm safe enough to feel this area again. It's
Wow.
bitch.
Mm.
It's like, oh my God, this shit is so like I understand. Like, oh
Mm.
my God, you really need to be ready for this work because it's like gangsta spiritual work. It's so intense to go through this experience in your body. So like I have all of the like I'm not gonna talk you into fucking doing this. Like you need to want to do this. Like I'm not gonna push this on anybody. It's so I'm a
Not,
gangster, yeah.
not for the faint of heart.
Not. It is not. It is not. Oh, it's like you need to be ready to be a gangster. Like you need to be at a point where it's like it's so not worth it for me to still be this disconnected to my body. Like it matters so much to me. I'm willing to like die trying to do it. Like that's the level of depth and guts and like conviction that is necessary around this like underworld alchemy rebirth experience.
Mm. It's so interesting because have you heard of Wim Hof?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I listened to him. He was on a podcast, and I listened to him, and I heard about the whole cold water, thing, and how that can release certain energies in your body and make your. It's so funny. He was saying that it's such a cool practice to, number one, get you out of your comfort zone, because all we try to do, I guess it's just our human nature, is to be comfortable. And he said exposing yourself to cold water, number one, is getting you out of your comfort zone. And number two, he said that our skin is the biggest organ, and our skin has the ability to be so sensitive and so receptive. But for most of us, those receptors are like offline because we keep ourselves in our comfort zone all the time. And because our skin is not getting like exposed to different temperatures and different sensations and different forms of touch, a lot of our receptors are just like, they're not functioning. And so I don't know, I was just so curious about it. And I mean, there's so many other benefits to cold water exposure, like reducing inflammation and this and that. But anyway, I was intrigued. And for some reason, I don't know, I just was like, I'm going to try this thing. And he said, like, you will start to feel the effects if you do it for 10 days straight. So I started doing it. I started doing like, I wasn't completely doing like a cold shower, but what I would do was I would take a shower, and then like the last burst of water, I would just turn it cold. And he said, start with like 15 seconds. So I did that. And so I was doing it every day. And then gradually I was like, by the third day, I was like, I could do 2 minutes. 2 minutes is like the max, he said, for like a newbie.
Woof.
And so by the third day, I was like, I could do 2 minutes. Because once you get past the 15 seconds, you're like, all right, you kind of adjust to the cold. So by the fourth day, I was doing the full 2 minutes in this cold water. Rose, I want to tell you, he said like in 10 days, you're going to start to feel the difference. I want to say by day 5, my body was so alive. Like all these, I don't know what was going on. All I know was I was feeling so much sensation and it felt good all over. Like it was like, I don't know, they just got turned on. Like cells just got turned on. And even though I don't do that anymore, like I was doing it for a few months, my body, the sensation has stayed. And maybe because now it's just back on. Like I think once it comes back on, it's on. It's on. You have these cells firing now. And so I don't know. It's amazing because like no matter what I'm doing, I can feel myself. I can feel the aliveness in my body, and it feels so good.
Oh my God. I'm really glad that you shared your experience because like cold exposure therapy is something that also really helps the vagus nerve, like,
Yes.
and its whole system reset. So
Yes.
I've been trying to, like, I've been like walking around it and like kind of finding my own way into it. Cause yeah, with like all the CPTSD that I'm healing all of my stress patterns from as I'm, claiming my inheritance as a creative being, sacred, So it's like I can't make myself do anything. Like I have to give myself the time to come into it from a place that feels like I am choosing to do this. Like there cannot be an ounce of like coercion to my like practice of something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and I've just realized that like just hearing like kind of a description of an experience of something like also really softens my resistance and makes me much more open and much more like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm like, I don't feel coerced in any way. Like I absolutely am like choosing with all my free will and sovereignty, like, yes, I will do this. So I'm really glad to hear your experience of it because I was just so like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, so what I just described to you, he said like that's kind of like the beginner level, and then the next level would be ice water. And he said you could do like a bucket. So like have ice water in a bucket and put your hands or your feet. And so I did that too. So I did the shower thing for a while, and then I progressed to the bucket of ice water. But I will say this, it's so interesting. For me, the ice bucket with either my hands or my feet, to me, that was more doable. Or to me, that's not as intense as the shower. And
Yeah.
the reason I say that is because with the bucket, it's just your hands or just your feet. But with the shower, your skin, like all, it's like your whole body. It's just like more area. It's like more surface area. So for me, that actually feels more intense than the ice bucket.
I wonder if
So,
that is an oversight of like, yeah, more sensitive nervous systems. Like, you know how so many standards are like
oh,
calculated off of like, how does like a middle-aged white man experience this?
oh, right. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Because I was like, the shower is much more intense. So
Mm.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, maybe
Thank
that's
you also for that.
his experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But I just love the
Awesome.
fact that I did it for a while. I got the areas back online and I don't have to do it
Mm.
anymore. Like they're online now.
Ooh.
They're
I'm gonna
online.
I'm gonna try to focus on that as I like continue kind of circling this of like, okay, so it's gonna be both like cool coming back online, so that I find really appealing and attractive, and then also that there's gonna be like a saturation point where like I don't have to do this forever and I'm still going to like enjoy, like, yeah, it's gonna be on. like, okay, that feels better to me too. That like I don't have to have this relationship. Like I need to do this for the rest of my fucking life.
Right. Right. And I mean, maybe there's people that do for other reasons,
Because
like
they're
maybe for
like that.
inflammation. Huh?
Oh, I was gonna do, oh, just because they like it.
Or like maybe they have inflammation, like athletes.
Mm.
Like a lot of athletes do like the
Mm.
ice bath after So I mean, there are
Yeah.
people that this is like their regular practice. But for the reason I was doing it, I wanted to get more sensation. And so
Mm-hmm.
I got it. I
Ooh.
got it. And so I was like, okay, awesome. I got what I needed.
Yay. Ah, so inspiring. I feel like I need to write that down somewhere so I don't forget about this.
I'll remind you.
Thank you.
I'll check in with you like in a month and be like, did you try like just 15 seconds cold shower? I mean, you know what? I kind of was like, okay, well, this is like when you go to the beach, you first go in, the water's freezing, at least out here. I don't know how it is. But when you first go in, it's like, oh my God, it's cold, it's cold. And then you just stay there and then eventually you get used to it. So it's kind of like that.
Yes. Yes. I've done that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's doable. It's doable. And you get to decide how long it's cold for. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're in total control of that.
Also, that like I can just keep turning the water until it seems cold enough to me.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. It don't gotta be all the way. See, I'm like extreme. I'm just gonna go all the way. Let me see. But yeah, it's as cold as you could take it. Colder than you would normally have it. Yeah, and just like gradually like titrate yourself to where it's uncomfortable, but it's bearable. I think that's a beautiful way to approach it.
Yeah, I want to try this.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear what you think.
Oh, I wonder if this will really support. Yeah, so I've been like reconnecting with my perineum, and because there are these specific meditative practices that I want to do, because yeah, I've just been having a really annoying hard time with just how slowly I'm really grooving into this new identity of like, I am a creative being, I'm an artist, I am supported by the universe, I trust the universe to provide for me, like, I am good. Like, so I want to do these specific meditative practices that I think will be really supportive and less like work on my dinky little thinking brain that it's really just grooved like into my being. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to be able to like connect with my perineum without like right now where my edge is, it's like I just bring my attention to it and like I imagine myself in this rose quartz bed surrounded by dragons. Like I'm safe. I'm protected. My
Mm.
dragons are right fucking here. Nobody's fucking
Ooh.
with me right now.
Ooh, I
Because like
love
that's
that visual.
yeah, it's from a prayer call that I did with like the woman who wrote the Sophia Code. Um, and yeah, so it's like, okay, I need to be this safe. And then I can just open to feeling the fact, like, yep, there's my perineum. Like, I can't even bear to do, like, to actually do anything with it yet. Like, all I can do is, like, have my attention here and then breathe and, like, stay regulated. Like, if I try to do more, like, it would just dysregulate me more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Baby steps. That's all we got to do.
Yeah.
That's all we have to do. And I mean, a lot of times just being with an area with your awareness, that's more than enough. Like, whereas before you would have,
Mm-hmm.
disconnected, that's more than enough.
Yeah, yeah. That's like what we were talking about at the beginning, like just holding a space for feeling. That's
Yeah.
literally
Like, I'm
that's
not going to
all.
leave you like I usually do. I'm going to stay.
Oh. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
so sweet and simple.
I know. And I think that might be part of the reason why my sensation has stayed, because I've been so appreciative of this newfound sensation, and I tune into it a lot.
Mm.
And our bodies really love when we tune into it like that, because for all the time we might spend in our thinking mind and totally like ignoring our body, like I feel like our body is so grateful when we do the opposite
Mm.
and we put our attention on our body and our sensations. And it thanks
Yes.
us by just being more, alive.
Yes.
Kind of like a feedback loop. The more we pay attention
Yes.
to it, the more we feel. And of course, the more you feel, you're going to tune in more, because it's like, hello, like it's attracting your attention. So it's just like this beautiful like feedback loop.
Hmm. Definitely. I've definitely been um experiencing some really like profound and easeful shifts in my relationship to cooking and like washing the dishes. It used to be such a chore. And now I've like managed to kind of like reprogram and like reorient all my stuff to it. So now it just feels effortless. And it's like I have
Mhm.
more of like a positive association, like, oh, I can just go cook rather than like having to push through this huge draining wall of resistance.
Mm. Wow, that's cool.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
It's so important. I think the more we can make our day to day kind of like mundane things more, just kind of, if we could do whatever we have to do to make them more enjoyable. I was thinking about
Mhm.
that too. Like those mundane things that seem like a drag. It's like, okay, well, what can I do so it's not a drag?
Mhm.
And just get
Mhm.
creative with it.
Yeah. Hmm. Are there any that you have experienced that way?
Well, I had the question in my mind like this week, like, because there's times where I feel like my day is just like one thing after the next.
Mm.
And a lot of stuff that's just like stuff that just needs to be done. It's not like it's really lighting me up or anything. But then
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? I need to shift this. Like, how can I, the question I pose to myself is, how can my whole life be experienced as pleasure? Like the
Mm.
whole day. Like, how can I? And it's not like I had an answer necessarily,
Mhm.
but it was like just to have that desire and just to have that like intention that no matter what it is I'm doing, how can I, make it be pleasurable? And so it might be as simple as, because I have like my office where I do my work, but it's actually more pleasing if I take my laptop down to the living room and face the window. And I've heard people say that too,
Mm.
like your office, your desk should really face a window. So you're not looking at a wall or, you
Mm.
know, and it is better. Like when I go downstairs to the living room and I face the window and I look out, because I can see the sky, I can see some birds, I can see that tree blowing in the wind, and it makes a difference. It makes
Mhm.
me answering emails a little more enjoyable. So it's little
Yeah.
things like that that I'm being more aware of. And so it's like, okay, so that's what I'm in the process of, just like figuring that out. Like, how can
Mhm.
everything I'm doing during the day just be a little bit more pleasurable? Like baby steps, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. I And so like I've had a lot of success, like I said, with like cooking in the kitchen. And then like for other areas of my life, it's I'm fighting just to stay connected to, yeah, asking the question. Cause like there's so much that will like just set me off and like set me running these like scary patterns and like tenacious stress patterns of like, and like forgetting that like I'm not that person anymore. Like I am good. I am provided for, I'm cared for, I'm cherished. Like I'm not running that survival program anymore. Like it is so hard for me to stay out of that. Like and I'm just tired of how like spotty and like how I just come in and out of it so much. And it's like I just want to be really like sustained in it, like relaxed in it, like resting on it. Like yeah, I it's perfectly safe and it's the best thing for me to be present in this moment with that curiosity of like, how can this be pleasurable? I am doing this. It is a part of what must be done to maintain my life as it is. How can it be pleasurable?
I know, right? And I feel like just asking the question, even if you don't get the answer right away, it's in your consciousness. So it'll come to you. Like it'll come to you.
I feel like I like when you said that about it's the question, I imagine that like so if our energy fields are frequencies that are like constantly giving information to like all the other kind of like consciousnesses that make up our reality, you know, like the plants that we live with, the buildings that we live with, like all of the yeah, all of everything else that we're existing around. So, and then our energy field is like communicating that curiosity, that question. It's not so much about like, oh, I am finding the answer. It's more like I'm asking this question because I'm allowing the world around me to actually give me to just like know that this is what I desire so that it can actually give that to me. Oh, so my world wants to like is hearing me ask the question of like how can this be more pleasurable, so the world is actually what's answering and like adjusting and attuning like, oh, how can I be more pleasurable for her, I love her.
Yeah, I totally see it happening like that. And then I feel like because that's an expansive question, because it's all about asking the right questions. So if you ask an expansive question, then I feel like your awareness will expand, and you may just see things that were always you may now see things that were always there before, but you just didn't notice it. That would make the moment more pleasurable. So nothing may not actually even change.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, yummy.